descendants of African slaves. In addition to the, to the Carib population, the descendants of the Caribs, there's also descendants of slaves.
Of African slaves.
Of African slaves
right.
that were imported here, that were brought here by both the French and the English.
Yes, I would say that.
And that's what basically, okay. Go ahead.
In order to account for the large population of people of African descent in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they were brought here as slaves by the French prior to the wars of the Caribs against the English. The English brought a significant amount of Africans to work on the sugar plantations. And after those were, so we,
and descendants of those.
And the descendants of those French slaves and the Africans that the British brought here account for a large population of the people of African origin who live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or blacks who live in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or Creoles, whatever term you want to call it.
So our significant, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask
Sure.
you to do it one more time.
Sure, sure.
So, editor Tom, if you're listening, I'm working on it.
Yes, yes.
So, today in St. Vincent there is a large population of, our population is mostly
Black. Yes.
And most of the population, if they're not Carib,
Yes.
they are descendants of the
African slaves.
So say it.
Yeah, the majority of the black people here who are not descendants of the Caribs are descendants of African slaves brought here by the French and the English.
Perfect. Very concise. Thank you. Okay. That's good. Is there any, let me think if there's anything else. Am I missing anything? We got let's see, what else did people comment on? That was a big comment. What, who are the people here today? What's the population made up of today? Then we have a lot of people talking about, growing up as a Carib and the interaction and the discrimination they felt. So now we know who is discriminating against them. We know it's these people who are not descendants of the Caribs,
Exactly.
but descendants of the Africans who were brought by the French and the British.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so that's clear. So, let's see.
And I think I gave you the explanation for that, the reason for the discrimination. I gave you the reason for that, huh? Was it clear?
You can talk about that.
Well, the reason for the discrimination that existed with the descendants of the African slaves, this colony, it was a colony of England, and they were taught the English system. There was no Vincentian history per se, and they were brought up as English people. They were citizens of the British Empire. That's what they were called, and consequently, their mental frame of reference was England. I'm a British subject, and consequently, the British wrote all this history of all this of the derogatory terms towards the Caribs. So they adopted that system of thinking, of colonial mentality, and that was the origin of the ostracization that existed because of the English mentality. And it's only recently, after independence, that people trying to find out for themselves what happened. What happened, independent people. We need heroes, we need people. There were people here living before we were brainwashed, okay? Because that's what happened. People of the colonies were somewhat brainwashed. They have this mental slavery that existed among them. So now that is being transformed now into nationalism. We are a nation, we are people. We no longer throw off all of the chains of the British Empire. We need having a national identity of who we are. And they began searching the history, and we have we're embracing our history in its true perspective.
So coming back, you want to we're almost done.
No. Listen. I love it. Don't say.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sure. Wait us.
Is it too bright?
Yeah, you started
Oh, okay. Okay, so my question is,
1 second.
I have two questions actually.
Okay.
My question is, okay, you've been back here, how long has it been since you've been to St. Vincent? When's the last time you were here on St. Vincent?
Okay. I was here in 2000. I'm sorry, 2000.
2009.
2009. I was here. I was here with the Garifuna Coalition, the members from New York, and some members from Central America, and I came in there to celebrate 30 years of independence. And I think it was in June or July. It was in 2009.
So do you see much of a difference from your last trip to this trip? I mean, or what? And if so, what kind of differences do you see among the mentality of the Caribs here on St. Vincent?
Okay, what I see there is a sea of change as far as the people in general of St. Vincent is concerned. What I'm a little concerned about is very sensitive, but I'll say it anyway. Is that the people of Sandy Bay, who has that village has the largest concentration of the indigenous people, and I'm sure if you search deep, you may be able to find maybe one or two pure Amerindian people. I can, if you were to search, there was some element of that there. And they are not they're not playing a significant role in the whole process of Renaissance. That bothers me a little bit. And coming from Sandy Bay.
Explain what you mean by that.
That they're not playing a more critical role because we don't have, even though I'm from Sandy Bay, I have to come from 10,000 miles away to at least representation. But there has to be someone from the indigenous people of Sandy Bay, I'm sure there are people of stature that can say something about our civilization. I'm sure there are people educated, people who are even more knowledgeable than I am. I'm somewhat of a foreigner coming from all these years, 47 years, coming from Los Angeles. So I'm sure there are indigenous people within that community that has something to say. And I'm a little concerned about that. And if we can reach out to those people and create some kind of a coalition and merging, because you don't want to create dissension. Because here we are the people that you are celebrating. We are the embodiment of this struggle, and we've been left out from this whole drama. And that bothers me a little bit. I'm sure that people are trying to reach out to them. I don't know what the reasons are, whatever the consequences are, but I think there should be much more reapproachment to these people of that community.
So you said they're not being out. You're trying to say that they're not out in the public. Where have you seen other people who is representing them and who is talking for them?
Well, I don't see anyone. I have not seen anyone yet. They were the two leaders, the two gentlemen who was with the painted, the two gentlemen, Mr. Sado, Mr. Francois, who were there, and there were two gentlemen. There were two gentlemen that was there.
Where? Two gentlemen were.
They
where?
were at.
Two gentlemen were at.
Two gentlemen were at the Bariso event pilgrimage, and there were two gentlemen at the wreath laying ceremony. The ones with the spears and the lion cloth. And as far as they were the representative of Sandy Bay, but I don't see an indigenous spokesperson from Sandy Bay that might be taking part in the proceedings. And that's a little bit. I'm sure, as I said before, I'm sure there are people there, people who come from the area that might want to say something. Maybe the representative of that particular district. We don't know. So I hope that we can correct whatever discrepancies that may exist in that, whether it's overlooked or whatever it is.
So
Overlooking.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point, especially after you're having been here for 2 weeks and seeing what's going on.
Yeah.
So just for your information, I have gotten Sardo and other people to talk, and they will be talking in
Good.
the film. So just
Good.
so you know, I haven't just stuck with the conference people. And,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
So given what you just said, what do you think about the conference in the Yurumein house?
I think it's a beginning that if
What is the beginning? You think what
the,
is
the, the beginning of the Garifuna house,
Start again, please.
I think that the Garifuna house is a very important beginning in reclaiming our history, our culture, and our heritage. And if it's done in the right way, without being, I want to use the phrase, hijacked by, with elements that have a different agenda, might cause some problems. So we need to be able to be very inclusive of what transpired in that particular paradigm. The word is inclusiveness, with all elements of the Garifuna or Carib civilization.
One thing that Zoila talked about, and they want to do workshops in the communities, because we got some of that information. It's very difficult for people from Sandy Bay to attend the conference. It's difficult for the conference to go to the communities because of logistics.
Logistics, I understand that quite
So they
well.
were thinking about doing workshops in the different communities
I think that's a very
as alternative in alternative years rather
Yes.
than just doing the conference.
right. I think that's a very good approach. I think that's the beginning of embracing the local communities, and if that could be implemented in the future, I think that's a very, very good thing. And you mentioned, I think we talked about having the celebration. We can alternate different Garifuna communities, not having one area, but having maybe Greg's, Sandy Bay, Hoya, and Fancy, and integrate, the celebration, because some people might feel left out, feel slighted, And what they can do, they can have local people from maybe say Fancy, Oweir, Sandy Bay, Overland, Greg's, Rosebank, and have local communities to select places for alternate the conferences or workshops that might have, but at least have something going on in those indigenous communities. And as I said, because of logistics, hotels, etc., you can't have a conference in those areas. There's no, this place. Maybe the community centers could be a way of having a conference there. Because when I look at the population, the participants of the conference, it's a possibility that we have community centers that it would be able to accommodate that amount of people. So I think it is possible that it can be done.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Do either of you have anything else that you think I should ask or add? Or? No.
Let me see if there's anything else that I may want to add. You can edit it, my head.
Yeah.
Edit it, yeah.
Definitely. I need to get some, we need to get cutaways too before you leave. Just your hands and,
Cutaways, right?
yeah.
Okay.
He's just going to shoot like your hands. Keep your hands up here.
Okay.
Just shoot his hands.
Okay.
Oh, I know what I have to talk about.
Sure.
We are at Fort Charlotte.
Excellent. I was going to give you a tour. I'm going to be a tour guide.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
So,
excellent question.
Yeah, where are we? What's this place?
It is tell me when.
Go ahead. You're going.
Action.
Action.
It is extremely ironical and paradoxical that this interview is taking place at a very historic part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where we have paintings of our history, depicting the history, the culture, And this was a fort that was designed to fight against the Caribs. And I will show you elements of that situation where the guns, they're not pointing to the sea, they pointed inwards to the land where there was warfare between the English and the Caribs. And I'll show you those guns.
Yes.
So I'm very fortunate to be in this historical venue to have this interview where the blood of my forefathers has been spilled here. And if we were to look around, there are paintings depicting elements of our history.
So, yeah, maybe you do want to take us on a tour, but before we do
Sure.
that, let's, can we just walk with the camera? And sure. But before you do that, that's what I needed. So you got that cutaway. All right, so how about a cutaway of, no, okay, good.
There's two guys up there, the people who work here.
Yeah, I know, good, I would just go like that, that's good. So you could do that. I would shoot this way. Just shoot that. Okay, let's go out the window. A little bright, but too bright.
Too bright?
Yeah. Here's some guys walking. Okay. How about those two guys right there? I'm gonna get you in the, Julie, you wanna stand there and sit and talk?
You want
You're
me to
gonna have
stand there?
Yeah, come on over
Okay,
here.
let me put this away.
You can be in there, you can be in your,
I don't know.
you don't wanna be, alright. You got those two guys walking?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably should take it off, but.
Boy, chupa ya pan one alternative ya kasi mabaya. Export is pan baya body kill boy.
Yeah.
One from Kidel.
Okay.
We have to come. That's police we have to take care of it. After the
Okay, here's Dr. Gill. Dr. Gill, would you sit down? Through the door, you see the doorway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
So you want him first or them?
Well, they're sitting here, let's get them. I'm sorry. Well, all right, go ahead. Say what you're.
Okay. After the exodus to Central America, the Caribs, the Garifunas, played a significant role in the liberation movements in South America. After the exodus to Central America in 1797, the Garifunas or the Caribs continued to play a very significant role in the liberation movements of the Western Hemisphere. It is alleged that Simon Bolivar came to Rotan, Central America, to recruit troops. He heard about these fierce warriors, recruit these troops to fight the liberation wars in South America. And there's also another caveat that when there was alleged war between Honduras and I think it was one of the other neighboring countries, and the Garifunas were in the armies, and the Garifunas or the Caribs from Honduras, they speak the Garifuna language, and as a result, when they spoke the Garifuna language, they couldn't understand what was being said in communication. It is very similar to when the Japanese in the World War II, when they recruited Indians using the the native language of I think it was the Navajo language was being spoken, and they couldn't understand the code. And the same thing happened. So despite all these things, it played a role in the theaters of war because of the linguistic skills using as code messages, and no one understood the whatever country we're fighting, they couldn't understand what I was saying. So we continue to be a significant force to be reckoned with despite circumstances.
Good job.
Right.
While you're talking.
Did I miss anything? You should fill me in if I miss anything else.
No, you did a great job.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you did a great job. Between this one and the one in Los Angeles, you
Yeah.
did fine. And if I need anything else,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
come to Los Angeles. Why don't you point out about
The guns.
the
We are now in Fort Charlotte, one of the forts that one of the
I don't want to be. Bye. Bye.
one of the areas that the English have constructed for the protection of the island. And it's quite significant that most of the guns are pointed towards the inland area. Here's a cannon, and as we work further up, they're pointed towards the inland area. They're not pointed towards the sea. And we travel up further.
Wait, let's do this
Sure.
first.
Okay.
So what is it pointed at?
It's pointed inland.
So can you imagine the war? What would have happened here?
Well, the Caribs would be storming the fort, and the cannons would be to repel them.
Even though it's so steep?
Oh, the Caribs were they were accustomed to the terrain. They can climb hills and.
They almost took the hill.
They almost took the hill?
Yes, good.
Fine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And
Exactly.
if they had ever taken this hill, the English would have lost the war.
No, exactly.
Yeah, so the English were dead set on defending this hill, and unfortunately the Caribs never quite made it all the way up.
Right.
So you want to say that?
Yes, the English were hell bent to keep this very strategic location in Fort Charlotte. Had the Caribs overwhelmed the English on this particular spot, history would have been different. Okay, we will continue our.
Yeah, and you'll tell us some more.
Yes.
Well, I was just remembering.
And that's a
the
good point.
reason is that this hill, if the Caribs had taken this hill, they would have been able to point these guns at Kingstown. So
Yes.
that would have been the end of the war, because in Kingstown.
All right, let's go back and say
You
that
wanna
again.
say
Yes. Yeah.
Finish it.
Okay. Well, as a matter of fact,
Historians will-
we can go up here. We can sit up here. Right.
That would be better.
Yes. And I'll show you.
All right, so we can go up and
Yeah.
down and say it.
Yeah.
So, stop. And are we going up there?
We're going up here.
Okay, so I'm going to ask cameraman Fabian, can you go up and shoot?
Action.
Okay,
We are.
you don't have to say anything.
Okay.
You don't have to say anything. Just walk up. All right, that's good. That's enough. So go ahead.
This location is extremely important. It's a very strategic location during the wars between the Caribs and the English. If you were to look at these cannons, they are pointing inland. And you can imagine hordes of Caribs coming down from the hills. And these guns are pointing directly against them. As you walk around, they're not pointing to the ocean, but they're pointed inland. And then we're going to go around to Kingston. We'll take a shot of Kingston here. We are looking at the capital, Kingstown. And the English were localized in this area, was their capital. If the Caribs had conquered this particular spot, they were able and had the advantage of the cannons. They would have conquered Kingston, and the history would have been different. So this is a very strategic location. And if you were to look further, you can see Dorsetshire Hill, where those antennas are. That is where Paramount Chief was killed in 1795. So you see, these particular areas are extremely strategically important from a military point of view.
So you're saying that the Caribs would have pointed the guns at...
They would have aimed the guns probably at Kingston. The Caribs would have aimed the guns at Kingston and probably conquered the city, captured the city, and the history would have been different. They would have occupied the city, put the British out. We have an independent country with no British armed intervention. So this is a very strategic location.
And no exiles and
No exile, no nothing. History been different. Been all free men. So this is very, very crucial, very important. But these hills are very strategic, and you see the two prominent hills, Port Charlotte and Dorsetshire Hill. And
Okay, good.
the what?
A close-up of the mop.
Right.
Doing cutaways.
Okay.
I would do...
We are looking at Kingston. And there's like a little moat down here. There's a gutter here. Well fortified, eh? Mm-hmm.
place.
To use the images in any to
Well, I
reproduce
don't actually
them.
have to have an image. I could, if you could just send
Oh,
me
just
the
the
wording.
text, just the
text.
wording.
Yeah, the
I
text.
could write it out in the sketchbook.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
could have
okay,
these,
yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Because she was saying that there were letters
Uh-huh.
written.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell.
Yeah, what we
Oh,
have?
just you know, like there's letters from the British. I've read a bunch of letters from the governor of St. Vincent.
Yes.
At, you know, in 1795. I can't remember his name right now, but he almost took the fort.
Yes.
And then the letters he wrote afterwards to London, he was just saying, you know, thank goodness the Caribs didn't take this, because if they had, you know, that would.
I see.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what is also very interesting too is, you know, there was a rebellion going on. What role did the slaves play in this rebellion? That is something that is
Yeah.
mystical. I'm just thinking, here were these people fighting for their independence. Why weren't the slaves, you know, it was only natural that they should have come, you know, sided with the Caribs to overthrow the English. It is
Some
something.
did.
Some did, yes. Some crossed the
Yeah,
line.
all the French, I think the majority of the British slaves did not side.
Did
with
not
the
side
Caribs.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't understand.
Yeah, that is
exactly why.
that's also that's very intriguing. Why they didn't side? Here, these people fighting for the independence. Why the slaves didn't rise up? Because that was the opportunity to rise up. Good opportunity to rise up against the English and throw them off. Because you have allies, unlike any other island that existed. That's something that we have to reconcile
Yeah.
among ourselves. There were a large amount of slaves here, and if they were allied themselves with the Caribs, that have been different. So it's something that we have to consider.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think they didn't?
Well, I think my speculation is that they were maybe very loyal to the colonialists. Well, why would they be loyal? You have them as a slave. Why be loyal? What the explanation why they didn't rise up?
One, I guess there's a couple possible explanations.
Uh-huh.
Like one is that when the Caribs first started the war, the first thing they did was to burn the sugar plantations. They killed some of the masters, and they also killed many of the British slaves.
Uh-huh.
Because it seems like they considered the British slaves to be on the side of the British.
Yes.
Even from the beginning of the war.
Right.
And what's interesting, because the British, they kept trying to figure out, that actually many British people after the war would come up with these explanations for why the slaves stayed loyal, because that was so important that the slaves did not go over to the Carib side.
Yes.
So some of them say it's the nationality difference, like the Caribs were more French, their slaves were more British, and you know that the slaves adopted the same national prejudices as their masters, that they hated the Caribs because they were French. I don't know if that's really logical, but that's what many of those accounts say.
Yeah, and you wonder in American War of Revolution in 1776 why the slaves didn't go over to the. I'm sure there are a lot of them that came over and fight with the American revolutionaries, but that's another explanation. That's another important factor, because there was a large amount of slaves in America, and if they were banded themselves together and fight against the British, maybe the war would never lasted so long. Who knows? A lot of implications.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, and we're looking here at Beckwith.
Oh, that's Beckley?
Yes.
Where's Ballysoe?
Ballysoe is a little further back. Ballysoe is right. I'll show Ballysoe. Yeah, you can see it from here. Let me ask these folks down here, they might know. But I think that's Baliso, the island that we are looking at. See this island here? Right over here? That's probably Baliso.
In the middle.
Yeah, the one in the middle. And the other one is probably Batawea. Where we ordered on Saturday. But I'm going to verify it from here. At least folks should know. Okay?
So can you stay here for a minute?
Sure.
And can we all go down and then you can...
How are you, sir? So this is Bekwe now.
Yeah, that one is back way.
And
Baliso.
Baliso is that we've seen right here.
And Batawea.
Batawea is right over here. Okay.
Those are the Caribs were taken back to us, you know.
They were that were they exiled in 1797 and were then sent to Mastik is further back behind of that. I think I can see a little section of it. Little bit of it, yes.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to see them when
But there's a little rock. We get to let them know. Yeah. Yeah, our brothers and sisters were exiled to Central, to Rotan from Baliso. They lived there for 3 months, right? Anything else you know about it?
Well, I know, I mean, you're supposed to know too, yesterday,
Oh, yeah, was there.
was there, some of them came back from Central America.
Yes, they were here, right. Okay. So we're verifying the geographical terrain. We are looking at Bekwe, this very large island at this time. And as we go to the left, the next island is Batawea. And as we go further left, the island that's emerging there is Baliso.
It's reverse, she said, right? The middle one's Valley South. The little one on the right is
No,
Valley South?
no,
Remember, that's Bekwe.
Bekwe.
Baliso, you have a small one too, that's part of Baliso.
Uh-huh.
So you're not picking out it.
Okay.
You notice it have two.
So you have Bekwe,
Yes.
and then that one, the one in the middle is Batawea.
Batawea.
And then the other one that's on the extreme left.
This left.
That's Baliso. Yeah, exactly. Your left here.
This left,
That's
yeah.
Baliso.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Okay. All right. So Bekwe, Batawea, and then Baliso.
Plane, you see the plane, airplane? If you can get it landing, that would be phenomenal.
Great.
Closer, not so far away. Is it part of the frame? Like, big part of the frame?
More or less.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect. I needed one of those. And the ferry boat? What happened down here? I mean, this is the ocean side, so that means, and they were pretty good at canoes and water.
Oh yeah, they're
so
very
why-
skilled at canoes. So
British ships down here.
Oh, there would have been British ships.
yeah,
there.
British warships are here.
Yeah, explain that.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah, there were apparently British warships in this whole harbor that was protecting the harbor from any Caribbean insurgents via the ocean. And which I think it was easier to protect the sea, but the land where the Caribbeans would be in camouflage and very, very difficult to detect. That might be the reason why the maritime part of the wall was not very important. So, I mean, there's an ants.
All right, let's go. All right, that's it.
Just shake it off for me here. Thank you.
And you better move your foot out of there.
There's an ant heap, yes, an ant heap right here.
Yeah, there's an ant. You stepped in an ant. We're just getting a few shots.
Okay.
Um,
'Cause these are oldest. These are the original blocks, I think, were here. Blocks of this hill. I wonder who did it. Maybe the slaves did it.
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
Yeah, it was slave
Built
labor.
it, yeah.
I'm just thinking how difficult it might have been to bring all these blocks up here. Probably slave labor.
what are the blocks made out of?
That's rocks. Those are just rocks. It's rocks.
Dr. Gill, this is huge.
Huh?
This is great. Thank
Wonderful.
you. But I can send
Okay.
it to
I
her.
can
give
write
to
it
her
down.
tomorrow.
Okay,
Here, let
sure.
me write it down
Right.
right
I
now.
have it. I'll give it to. Oh.
Okay, yeah, I'll just write it down
Okay.
so I don't forget.
Because you have a right.
Documents. I'm
Right.
going to send him
And I
all
want to
this
commend you
stuff.
for taking an interest in my people.
Well, it's very interesting. And I mean, I'm not Garifuna or African, but I have a lot of, empathy for what happened.
Yes.
Because
the
peoples all over the world
the
have
same.
been displaced or killed in the wars.
Yes.
It's terrible.
The Japanese with their taking the women.
Yes, yeah.
I don't think I'm going to put this tripod away until we're done
Yeah.
today, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we'll just gather our stuff. You want more? You need another tape?
Yeah, just have like 20 minutes left.
Okay, well then you can just keep on it. Do you have some of the tapes? You don't have a tape? Oh, this is mine. Can I take a picture of you? Go ahead and talk.
One of my roles in the United States. Okay. One of my roles in the United States, particularly in Los Angeles, is the Honorary Consul General of St. Vincent and Grenadines in Los Angeles. And my jurisdiction includes the entire Western United States. And I work on behalf of our government to promote trade, tourism, and all aspects of the interests of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Western United States. And I'm very happy to play that role. I'm also interact with the Garifuna community and to promote cultural interaction. Thank you.
Welcome to St. Vincent and hope you come again. One love.
Are you a,
This Carib as well. My great grandmother is from Trinidad already, where the Caribs are already from. That's it. So yes, we are Carib. We're proud to be Carib. One love, eh? All right.
But you know how expensive Would they actually
No, this is more than trailer.
Huh?
This is more than trailer.
This
tell me what kind of fish you have.
Huh?
What kind of fish you have?
Kingfish and dolphin.
How much is it? How much is
$9.
it? What is it? $9 a pound? Where do you get it?
Huh?
Where do you get it?
Last night. Last night.
Do you fish?
No, we buy it. We buy it last night.
Are you done for the day?
Look, watch your face, good. Let me first mate. And the chef cook.
I think I can't see them.
He's not in it right now. Put it in our pocket.
There's some little boats to go out on. So
It's pastel.
What? Me some can pay it. And you shout some can see. But is you are that? Come on, right there. Where did I pay? Black monkey. Yep.
Kelly.
Cookies cutters, graters, bread pan, cake pan.
Make it yourself?
Yeah, I'm the builder.
The builder?
Yeah.
Hey.
Huh? Yeah, yeah.
I'll take two.
Can I get something?
I'm the oldest one here.
You guys mind having we have a little thing here, a little documentation.
But the only person who wants to put on weight is Matt Green.
Yeah, right there. Yeah,
Dry and tough as usual.
I put on my weight.
Yeah, man, I've always
The jump out photo.
No happens after that. I woke up.
Too late to go back. You get through it.
We have two Russells in
This is my
Paul Bones, brothers. You remember them? We had two Russells in the school.
Yes.
a few words.
Doug, you remember we had two Russells in school?
Yep.
What happened to them?
I can't remember. What was the ceremony?
And two very, well, we had more than two, we had about four.
Okay, gentlemen and ladies, my voice not so good this evening.
Attention, please.
Well, this evening we gathered here to just meet and greet and to have a little get together among the guys we haven't seen for a lot of
But we're doing that right now.
for a lot of time, right? So it's not of any big formal business. So all we're going to do is just eat and have something to talk. Just talk, just reminisce, and talk about old time stories. Okay? So as we get together, I think we would want to just have an opening word of prayer by, let us see, Pastor there in the back, never seen.
Why are you going to spend money on that?
You wouldn't allow it.
Let us pray. Father and God, we lift our hearts in thankfulness. We are here as a group rejoicing in your goodness to us because, Lord, we've experienced it in so many ways. But particularly we have experienced it in the base from which we have all come in our education. We thank you for the friendships that were formed. We thank you for the education that we received. We thank you, Lord, for the broad-based positions that were given to us, that we had an opportunity to come to know you, whom to know is life eternal. Thank you for all of that. We thank you, Lord, for J.P. Eustace, who impacted all of our lives so much that we are here today, that we could reminisce and rejoice and know that you have done a good work through him in all of us. Thanks, Lord, for all of that. Thanks for this time when we can get together again and just refresh memories and just look back and enjoy all the things that we've had. Bless the food that we eat and the fellowship that we have in Jesus' name. Amen.
Johnson.
I'm Johnson.
What year? Graduating year?
Graduating year was 2003.
I'm John Tash. My graduating year is 1976. Yeah.
Ralby Hathaway, class of 74.
Macvin Holiday, 1962.
Cosmos Cozier, class of 61.
Louis Straker, class of 60.
Leslie Mackey, 61.
Class of Cadrin Gill, class of 1963.
Barbara Pitt, 68. Paula Fraser, 68.
Yvonne Chumnam, 87.
Melissa Laborde, 97.
Cornell Brown, 67.
June Russell, 2005.
Douglas Neverson, but we never had graduation.
Alvin Joseph, past student of Emmanuel Mespo and present principal of this school.
Curtis Grace, present principal of Emmanuel High School, Mespo.
I didn't get you.
Total, 90.
Andrea Leland, 1999.
Oh, I didn't get again.
Never saw. No, I don't know.
Edmund Branch.
Me? What do I mean? No, I reached there. We didn't have graduation. So.
Just give us a give the final year.
I can't remember that so long ago.
Table tennis championship for the St. Vincent and Grenadines doubles. What year was that? 62.
I hope not. I think the one last 2 hours. Jonathan Pitt, 1962.
Sorry, okay.